Morning, good morning, good morning. It's such a beautiful Saturday morning. It's very cold, but it's all right. You guys, we have so much for you. We're about to serve you. So just sit down, get a warm blanket, and just enjoy the show. I just want to apologize, of course, for my voice because I'm coming down with a cold. So if I don't sound so appealing to you guys, please understand me. All right, so I just want to introduce you guys to the topic today. I don't know if you guys can remember when you were a teen, or even if you're watching and you're a teen, how it is like, you don't know what to do, you don't know when to do it, you don't know how to do it, you don't even probably really know who you really are. You're just trying to figure out a life, you're just trying to figure out yourself, trying to get to know your personality and stuff. And there's so many changes that take place when you're a teenager. Now, I would like to remind you your first day in high school or your first day in university, and you're going through all these changes. How was it? I imagine that it was hard for you. It was pretty kind of hard for me as well. Now, that's when you're right here in Kenya. Imagine going through the same when you're just in a foreign land, you're in another country, you're a teenager, you're going through these changes, and you're also going through the changes of being in a new environment. How do you think that feels? How challenging do you think that feels? Now, our guest today is going to share with us his experience having studied abroad during his teenage years, and then So what I want you to do, guys, I want you to interact with us by telling us, how was it like for you when you were a teenager? What are some of the challenges that you went through or are going through right now if you're a teenager at the moment, you know, that you would like to share, that you would wish your parents would know, or your family or your friends, you know, would know and understand? That's what I want you guys to share with us on our SMS line. That's 22162. Start with the word circuit, and also you can find us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at Circuit TV Show, and you can reach me directly at Christine Kiai. Welcome to Real Talk, and of course, immediately I'll just introduce our guest. His name is Blaines Wathombe.
Yes,
I've said it right.
Yeah, you said it right.
Yes. So Blaines, you are a poet, you're an architect. A couple of things which I want you to tell us who you really are, and welcome to the show.
First of all, thank you very much for having me.
You're
it's
welcome.
Great to be here, and it's a great pleasure for me. Yes, as you said, I am an artist. All kinds of arts I like to explore as much as possible, but it all started with drawing back in primary school. Went into painting, started sculpting, and eventually found that I could use words to create art. So I went into poetry for a while. But in terms of career, I chose to do architecture. So I'll be joining University of Nairobi in September to do architecture.
Okay, all right. Congratulations.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
So now let's just start from the beginning. You know, you went and studied in the UK, and then now you're back, which of course you'll tell us why, because a lot of people wouldn't understand. How can you know, go study abroad and come back and decide to just come back? Like, why didn't you stay there? But how did you get the opportunity to go abroad, and at what age?
Okay, so I graduated high school in 2015. I guess I was in a good high school. I was in Braeburn, Garden Estate to be specific. And it's really easy to get these opportunities because they will link you up with these people. And we used to have people from different countries and from different universities come to the school and visit and tell us about the university. So it was really good and easy to apply. One other company that really helped was UNICEF. So UNICEF do help you link up with people from abroad and like university from abroad based on what you want to do and what you want to study. So when I finished, I could have taken that route, but there's a friend of my dad's who came over to visit my dad, and he came from Nottingham, and he told my dad about the opportunity, said Nottingham Trent University was a really good university and that he was there himself, that I should do something and try apply to the school. So I'd applied to various universities, University of Cape Town for example, and then Nottingham Trent was my next one. And they were just really good at replying back. They helped me, they gave me someone like to talk to from Nottingham Trent who talked me through the whole process, and it was quite easy. All I had to do was show my grades, so it wasn't really tough.
All right, so what course did you want to go and study there?
I wanted to do architecture still, but before I started I wanted to take a gap year, and 6 months through my gap year my dad said I'd been wasting too much time and I was just staying at home doing nothing really. So he wanted me to be more productive, and he said in order to acclimatize, like I've already been accepted to Nottingham Trent, just go do a short course there and then progress into architecture while you're waiting. So for 6 months I did an art course which I really enjoyed, and then as soon as the 6 months were done I started doing architecture.
So how was it like? You know, I imagine it would be so exciting for a lot of people, you know. First time. You were alone?
Yes, I was alone.
So first time in a new country, you know, full of opportunities, because people believe, you know, out there is where all the opportunities are. So how was it?
It was the most amazing and the worst time of my life.
Let's start with amazing.
Okay, so for obvious reasons, it's a new country, it's first world country, everything works, and you get to see systems that are put in place to help the people. For example, with transport, it's really easy to catch a bus because at every bus station there's like a timer that shows you exactly when the bus is coming and what kind of bus it's going to be and where it's going to take you and such things. So seeing things like that was really fascinating for me. being able to travel anywhere across Europe was amazing for me. Being able to go to a mall and see all kinds of shops that I see only online, or things that I see in movies. For example, there's a time we went to Cardiff, and you get to see places that really amazing movie scenes were shot and be in the moment. So that was really beautiful to see. Yeah.
So when did it get ugly?
So I was 18 when I first went to the UK, and people talk about peer pressure, which is very, very much prominent. And I guess where it got ugly was the fact that you have so much freedom and no one to guide you through it. So I never had a mentor and anyone who could actually, who knew me for who I was, or who helped me and tried to guide me through my growth. And so it was really easy to get into bad relationships with friends, or relationships with friends for the wrong reasons, which can be really derailing, because then you forget where you're from and you're like, now that I'm here, like, I've made it, life is good, life is amazing, no one can tell me anything. So I started developing a like me against the world mentality. And one of the most scary thing that I guess like pushed me to get there was the fact that you're alone in a country that no one knows you. If you're walking down the street and you collapsed, no one knows you. You'll just die and fade away. During my 2-year stay in the UK, no one ever knocked on my door, ever, to say anything. The same way you leave your room is the same way you'll find it. And it becomes really like alienating when, not that racism is alive, but when you're black amongst a bunch of white people, you just feel different. Not necessarily treated different, you just feel different, and you don't feel like you can relate with anyone when it comes to language, when it comes to like culture, when it comes to food, anything really. So you become desperate to make relationships with people, and oftentimes it becomes through the wrong things, like when you're going out at night, well, you just want to drink with people just because it brings you together.
All right. So one of the key issues that comes up, you know, when people are talking about the tough side about living abroad, depression is one of the things that, you know, everyone always says. I have a couple of friends who have gone through that, you know, and they're like, oh my God, I'm so depressed. I feel like I'm gonna be depressed. Did you go through that?
Definitely. And I think one of the main reasons was because you're trapped in this four-walled room, and it just becomes smaller and smaller each time, and you're the only person in it. And as I said, like, no one knocked on my door, so there were never any opportunities like, oh, let's go to the park, let's go play football, because everything requires money. If you're going to the football pitch, you have to pay for the pitch. You need people to go with you. So unlike being here with your family members, it becomes really depressing when it's just you alone in this cocoon. And you feel like as much as you have all this freedom, you're also like trapped in a cage, and it becomes really, really frustrating.
So like, how was your day like from morning to evening, now that you're saying you never had people to interact with? How was your day like? So
when school was in session, depending on how many classes I have during the day, let's say I had a full day, wake up by 7:30, wake up at like 7, prepare by 7:30, casually take a walk to school, which was about 5 minutes away, get there by 8 till 4, I have classes with breaks in between. And then after 4, because I was doing this art class, it was really easy, and everything was practical. So I'd either go and carry on doing my art, or just go home and, you know, watch a movie, or try as much as possible to keep myself busy. But then my time schedule started changing, because you want to be awake when everyone else is awake, and that's usually at night. So every single night is lively, and every person's like going out, and you want to be part of it, because if you know you miss tonight, you're not going to see these people again until tomorrow night. So I'd go home sometimes and sleep, wake up at night so that I can be with my friends. But really it wasn't helpful because that was the only way I knew how to interact with these people instead of doing other things like I would have found fun.
Yeah.
Let's say going to a gallery, which was free, but then no one would have gone with me.
Yeah.
So it became really like I have to do it for others, not for myself.
Not for yourself. So you like have to, you know, forgo your what makes you happy to just fit, because I imagine it would be really boring to go to a gallery by yourself.
Yeah, as much as you might pretend like, oh, this is really interesting, look to your side, there's no one to share that moment with.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's really frustrating when you just by yourself. As much as people say like you need to be strong and independent and know exactly what you want, when you're young and you're in a place where you don't know anyone, it's really hard to like master that courage to say I'm gonna watch a movie by myself because I love me that much that I can just treat myself anytime I want.
Wow, that's very interesting. And you know, even here people face challenges, but I do believe it's different there because you don't even have family, you don't have friends, and the freedom is kind of different.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So other than that, maybe the other thing I hear people talking about is like the living conditions. That yes, you get paid well. I don't know if you might have information on that. Maybe you might. You get paid well, but you overwork, and then you don't even have time to spend that money you've made. Is that really the case?
I would say, from my experience, you don't really get overworked. There's actually certain policies that ban you from overworking. For students, you get, I think, a maximum of 100, if I'm not wrong, 100 hours every week that you can work. You can't exceed that limit. So you don't really get overworked. But the problem is that things are so expensive, or the standard of living is so expensive. Because I lived within the city and everything was in close proximity, which was good, but made me lazy because I know Tesco will close at 11 and I need to buy milk for tomorrow morning, but it closes at 11 and it's just down the road, so I'm just gonna wait. But when it comes to working, you can work part-time, you can work after school for like 3 hours, and you get paid really well. You get paid £7 minimum per hour. It can go up to 12, 20 pounds depending on what you're doing. So you do get paid really well, but at the same time you have to pay for everything, and things are quite expensive. For example, food. The UK give you a set, when you apply to go to the UK, they will give you a recommendation of how much you need for upkeep, and they would say you need £1,000 pocket money every month. My brother and I survived on £200 every month because we would cook for ourselves, for example. Food there costs about £5 for a decent meal, so about 600 and something. So if you're spending 600 times 3 every single day for a month, you're going to waste so much money when you can spend that £5 to buy ingredients that would cook a meal for the whole day for both of you, like in my case with my brother. So it just depends on how you define your status of living. Again, when it comes to peer pressure, people want you to have the latest Nikes, they want you to have the latest jacket, they want you to have, you know, the coolest shades, they want you to eat in the best places. Sort of like, here, if I want to eat at Chicken Inn, someone would ridicule me because KFC is better. What are you doing eating at Chicken Inn? So you get that kind of peer pressure from people there that would push some people to try live at a higher level than they actually can accommodate, which brings about now that depression of trying to fit in when you really can't.
So did you ever actually find yourself in that situation where you had to buy something because it's really cool and everyone has it, and if you don't have it, they'll make fun of you?
Not in terms of clothes, but in terms of like the party scene. Sort of like people, when buying drinks, there's some drinks you can't buy because that's a cheap drink. What are you doing drinking that? And when it comes to giving recommendations of places that you would go, let's say we're going out for a dinner together, there's some places you can't mention. There's some places you can't go for lunch with some people. When you're going for football together, there's some boots you can't go showing off because they're not really that classy. So eventually what I did to like avoid all that, because I knew I'm not going to tell my parents, hey, send me more money so that I can live better, is just avoid the situation totally. If I know I don't have enough money to buy that bottle of booze that they want, I'm just not gonna go with them to buy that bottle of booze that they want. So eventually I learned to avoid these situations and live to my own standards and set my benchmarks for I'm gonna spend only £5 today, nothing more.
Wow, must have been very challenging. But I want, we're gonna come back and talk about that. And we also know that you're a poet and an artist.
Yes.
And you've come up with a journal. You know, just expressing the things you went through. You know, to probably help someone else who needs to understand what it really means like to, you know, move and live, study and live abroad. All right, so we'll take a short break, but remember to send in your experiences, you know, whether you're here or your, you know, family, friends or friends who are living abroad, as you know, young people, teenagers, what they're sharing with you are their biggest challenges and even the highlights. So share that with us on 22162. Start with the word circuit. You can also find us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at eCircuit TV. Let's take a short break. We'll be right back.